Okay, so you have your plate, your copper plate, and you also have your iron that's been heating up. So what you're gonna do, and you're gonna be using, so in your kit, there's a tiny black waxy crayon. So this is a lithography crayon. It's greasy. This is gonna melt really nicely on your plate, but it's not gonna necessarily dry and harden. So what you're gonna do is you're first gonna apply heat to your plate. So I'm gonna do one plate at a time. So I'm gonna set this aside. And then I've also just been saving the backing of the contact paper. This works really well. This is gonna work well for actually applying the texture or assisting in applying the texture. So what you're gonna do is you just wanna apply heat to your plate. So I have this set to like a permanent press setting. And you can see the litho crayon is just kind of slowly melting onto the plate. So it's giving you kind of like a nice greasy layer, and you want to cover the plate. So if you want, you can set it on its side, and that's going to cover the plate a lot quicker. You just want to do this before the plate starts cooling. And if you feel that it's not melting as easily as it was, take your piece of newsprint, put it back onto the plate, and apply a little bit of heat. So you have that on the plate, and basically what you're gonna do is you're gonna just take different types of materials and lay them down onto the plate itself. So I have a piece of lace, I have a piece of tarlatan, I have a piece of tin foil, I have a piece of that anti-skid material, I have a scrunched up straw wrapper. And you can either take a piece of like parchment paper, don't use wax paper because the heat will obviously melt the wax in the wax paper. But I'm using the backing from the contact paper that you use to put onto the back of your plate. And I just have that set on top of it. And using the roller that's in your kit, so you're not going to be using this for inking. You're going to be using this to roll on the texture onto the soft ground. So lift that up, and obviously be very careful like throughout this process because it takes a little while for your plate to cool down and you don't want to burn yourself. But one by one, you're just going to peel these materials off. And each one's gonna give you a different texture. Some of them are gonna be more pronounced than others. This is where like a dental pick or a toothpick comes in handy. All right, but you can see the texture on the plate. And like I said, you can use a variety of materials. If you want to like work into a plate that you've already done a process on, you can absolutely do that. I'm gonna set this aside and let it cool. So here's the plate that has just like the dry point on it. So I'm gonna place the iron on there and just let that sit for a moment and gather up some more materials. Because you do want that pretty hot. And then you can also sit there and like if you wanted to cut out materials to only go in certain areas, that's very much doable. Like, let's see. Like, so with this piece of tarlatan, I cut a little hole out. That's hot, so you want to be careful. But so that's gonna go right over this area right here. So it's roughly the same size. Yeah, that'll cover that. Okay. So put that back on. You know what? I'm gonna set this on top of it, although that's pretty similar to one another. Maybe I'll try putting this tin foil on top of it and see, because this should end up blocking the tin foil from making any sort of texture. All right. So you want to work quickly, covering this plate. And so this works as a ground, similar to hard ground, but it's called soft ground because it's obviously soft, making it more malleable. So you can sit there and put an impression into the ground and get texture. All right, so let's see if that works. Yeah, so that ended up giving